Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Diane Hayden, publisher of Natural Nutmeg magazine. Welcome to our weekly podcast where I interview our experts and writers and contributors for Natural Nutmeg on topics ranging from natural medicine, green living, spirituality, and how to live a healthier, more holistic lifestyle. I have with me today Abby Beale. She is a certified classical homeopath of homeopathy healings. She works with people to relieve the symptoms of depression, anxiety, women's issues, headaches, digestive troubles, child behavior problems, and so much more. And I'm excited because we're going to be talking all about homeopathy today. How are you,
Yay.
Abby? Thanks for being with me.
I'm great. Thank you. How are you, Diane?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
So let's just start with what is it? Because I think there's a lot of question. Like a lot of people, I feel like, especially our readers, they've heard the word, they have a general idea. But let's get into a little bit more detail about what exactly is homeopathy and why would someone, choose to use that.
So that's always a very interesting question, and I have many different ways to answer it, but I'll give you a couple of different pieces of it. So first of all, I think homeopathy is like the coolest medicine on the planet. It is natural, it's inexpensive, it's made from natural substances. There are no side effects. No one ever dies from homeopathy. It's not processed through your liver, and it's been in use for over 200 years. Okay, so then people are going, well, how come I haven't heard of it? So homeopathy was started back in the late 1700s, and the founder was Samuel Hahnemann. And basically, what he found, without giving the whole story, is that when you take a substance that causes symptoms or illness in the body, and you make it in a highly diluted form, where basically there's no substance left of that thing, but it is the energy of that thing left in the water, that it stimulates the body to heal itself. And so homeopathy, basically, when you give a remedy, it helps the body to heal itself. It's just kind of one of those things. And so it is, to me, the most gentle, kind way of not just taking care of a symptom, but basically alleviating it permanently. So I'd like to give a quick example, and I share this a lot, so it's not, a HIPAA law, issue for me, that I used to suffer from yeast infections, and any woman that has ever had yeast infections knows that they are not fun and they're very uncomfortable. And when I started doing homeopathy myself, probably almost 20 years ago, I started my journey in unraveling the pieces of all my symptoms. And one of the things that has happened is I have not had a yeast infection for over a dozen years.
Wow.
And it's because homeopathy rights those tendencies. Some people never get yeast infections, so they would never take the remedies that I did. But it's like it fixes it eventually. It's not like it makes it go away. We're all expecting it to go away. When you go to a doctor, they give you a pill, you think it's going to be gone. It's very temporary. But with us, with homeopathy, is we hope that the next time you get a yeast infection, it's less frequent, less intense, less long lasting. And then the next time, again, is less frequent, less intense, less long lasting, till the point that you just don't have it anymore. And so it's just like so cool. It's very different than anything else that's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so just as you were talking in the beginning, if I'm a listener, my question would probably be, well, how does it work? How is it possible that the less you give of something has a more powerful effect? Because we've been taught in traditional medicine almost the other way around, right? Like we need to keep giving higher doses and higher doses of medication to keep having an effect.
Well, we kind of do that too. We have different potencies of remedy. So first, you think it would be useful for me to share how remedies are made? Do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do
Okay.
that.
So that you understand like what exactly is that you might be taking. So I always use an example that's very familiar to people about a remedy that we have called Coffea cruda. It's made from coffee, and a lot of people drink coffee. And I say to you, so if you have a lot of coffee or a lot of caffeine, let's put it that way, what are some of your symptoms? Things like heart palpitations, maybe you're sweating, maybe insomnia, maybe just like restlessness, maybe diarrhea. These are all common symptoms for people to have. And whether they drink coffee or caffeine or not, some people just have them and they can't sleep and they're anxious. And so that person might benefit from a dose of Coffea cruda. So why is that? Because we take a drop of coffee. And so I'm going to, okay, let me preface it with this. Imagine there are 30 cups of water in front of you that are filled 99% full. And in that 99%, there may be a little bit of an alcohol preservative, but it's 99% full. So we take one drop of coffee, which fills that first cup to 100%. And not only is it stirred, but it's also vigorously shaken like this 10 times. It's pounded like on a Bible. I think that's what they used to do, is they used to put it on a Bible. And so it activates the substance inside of all that water. Then you take one drop of that, which is now called a 1C or 1 centesimal. One drop of that, put it into the second cup that's 99% full. It's now 100% full. Stir it, succuss it 10 times. That's a 2C. You take one drop of that water, put it into the next, stir it, succuss it 10 times, and you keep going. And you go into a health food store and you go and you see these blue tubes, typically from a company named Boiron, and you will see it says 6C, 12C, or 30C. So now you're seeing how many times this cafe au cruda has been diluted.
Right.
And so by the time it's even at 6C, there really is no material substance left. But what you have is the energy of the coffee that's left because of this pounding. This is what makes it homeopathic, is the dilution and succussion of it. So 6C is not as it's not as strong. There we go. It's not as strong as a 12 and not as strong as a 30. And I work with 200s, 1M, 10M, 50M. I mean, these are way highly diluted. So there are stronger remedies, but those are not for the general public to use. They have to know how to use them. But
Right.
for most, yeah.
So essentially, it's the vibrations, so to speak, or the shaking of the water
Yes.
that's causing the active substance to basically change the molecules or the energetic signature, let's say, of the water to become an active substance.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so if you look now online, there was a gentleman who found in HIV and with AIDS, it was a similar kind of concept. He calls this stuff called nanoparticles. So you can look it up. Now there is some scientific research that talks about why. So why does homeopathy work? So many times homeopaths were like, I'm not really sure, but it does. Anecdotally, it does. And then now scientifically, they are seeing that there are energetic particles left in the water that then gets dropped onto like a sucrose pellet. And so every remedy that I have in my kit tastes exactly the same because they're so highly diluted and it's delivered on this pellet. But it is this nanoparticle. And so
Right.
that's how we can explain it at this point. But I can tell you anecdotally, homeopathy works.
Oh, I've had my own experiences.
Yeah, good.
For
Cool.
inflammation, friends of mine who I've recommended to it, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't taken a lot of different remedies, but I would say definitely, um, definitely for any kind, if I had any kind of an injury, or like I had laser scaling done a year ago for dental work, and
Mm-hmm.
um, now the remedy's escaping me. What's the one for inflammation?
Arnica?
Yes,
You're
arnica.
talking arnica. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I took arnica,
Mm-hmm.
recommended to me by a naturopath, homeopath,
Mm-hmm.
and my dentist was also doing some light therapy. Like I had the scaling done. He had me come back in like 2 days, do some light therapy, come back two days later. The second time, my second light therapy treatment, he looked in my mouth and said, I don't need to do this because you've already healed. And he's like, how is this possible? I'm like, I'll tell you. And I mean, I've been seeing this guy since I started Natural Nutmeg. So he knows what I do. And I'm like, you want to know? Because like I took arnica and,
Yes.
vitamin C, and I was taking some other, anti-inflammatory things. And he's like, wow. He's like, I have never seen anyone heal this fast.
I
It
love
was
it.
amazing.
I love
And
it.
that's the
Yeah.
only thing I did.
Mhm. I'm going to tell you, arnica is the gateway drug into homeopathy, if there is a
Yep.
drug, because that's what people are told, because a lot of people have surgeries and injuries and, they break a leg or something like that. And arnica it's a fabulous healer. It
Yep.
really helps heal very, very quickly. Like I had a C-section on my second child. And at that time, I was just learning about homeopathy, and I just started to take 30C arnica for 3 days in a row. I needed zero painkiller in the
Wow.
hospital.
That's
When they
awesome.
kept saying, "Are you ready for more?" I'm like, "No, I don't need, I'm sore as heck, but I'm not in pain. Please do not give me any more of that stuff."
Yeah.
Because I was also nursing, and I was like, "Please don't do that." And within a day and a half after a C-section, I'm like ready to go home. And they're saying, "You can be here for 3 days." I'm like, "I know, but I want to go home."
Right.
you know, it was arnica. Okay, listeners, arnica, awesome. And you
And
can get it externally too, but you don't want to put it on an open cut. But
right.
internally is much more powerful.
And what's the substance that they use
It's
for
a
arnica?
flower. It's
Okay.
arnica. It's a flower
Yep.
that's used in France. If you go to Boiron, Boiron, to their website, I believe they have this really cool video of how they harvest their specific arnica in France. It's from
Hmm.
France, and it's just amazing how it heals. It's so good.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you've had an experience with
And not,
homeopathy.
yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
not just me,
Yeah.
like other friends that have had surgeries, or any kind of, like, let's say somebody, I don't know, got a cut, or even like muscular injury or things like that, all kinds of
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. So they do sell kits. I mean, I run study groups, beginner study groups, because I want people to learn how to treat those types of acute situations at home. And so there's kits you can purchase. It's a 50 remedy kit of a 30C potency, and you have it at home. And it's so great when you have that and like a reference book. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's Saturday night. I ate something that's not agreeing with me. I'm having this massive reaction of, I call it 2 exits, no waiting, like
Right.
you're vomiting, diarrhea, everything. You're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And so you look in your book and you kind of match symptoms. You try something. And it's amazing that when it works, it'll just like stop it in its tracks.
Right.
It's just like, wow. It's like, I hate to say it, but chemical medicine doesn't have anything like that. That's going
No.
to be so gentle. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Well, I also think it works with the body's intelligence. I
Yes.
mean, our intelligence is to heal whatever
Mm-hmm.
the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I would think the body would prefer more natural substances than a chemical that you're going to have to now deal with the toxic issues from the drug or
Right.
chemical, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
process that through your liver and everything else to get it to
Right.
start even helping you.
Right.
It doesn't make
Yes.
sense.
Right. I agree. I agree with that. But people have been, I'm going to use the word brainwashed because
Yeah.
I was brainwashed when I was younger. We lived right down the street
Conditioned.
from our pediatrician, conditioned
Yep.
that this is what you do. When you get sick, you go to this person and this is what you are expecting to get.
Yep.
And I totally value that sometimes, believe me. But I think whenever anybody goes to any practitioner, they have to say, okay, what is that person's toolbox? So my toolbox, for the most part, is common sense and homeopathy. Whereas a medical doctor they have some great tools. They have surgery, they have testing, and they have pharmaceuticals. That's what they have. So if you're looking for something more natural, they're not going to give it to you because they don't have it. So you need to look at all the other people. What does a naturopath have? A chiropractor have? What's their toolbox? What's an acupuncturist? So it's just like there's so many different places that you can get these tools into your natural toolbox. Like I have a naturopath, that I go to. I have a homeopath when needed. I'll go to. I have a chiropractor. I have an acupuncturist. I have a massage therapist, cranial sacral therapist. Not all the time. It's not like I go all the time, but
Right.
when I need, they're in my toolbox, and it's like so wonderful to have all those people.
It is, yeah, definitely. And everyone
Yeah,
serves a different purpose. And
exactly.
it's, to me, like that's the definition of a holistic approach, because
Hmm.
it's the whole body, you know?
Yeah, right.
Um, so, where can remedies be found?
You can get them over the counter. Now in COVID, it may be a little challenging, but you can go to like Whole Foods, the vitamin shop.
Yep.
Here up in Western Massachusetts, there's River Valley Co-op, Greenfield Co-op. There's a lot of different natural food stores that have them. You can go on Amazon. But I also think it would be great to also patronize some of the homeopathic pharmacies here in the United States. So there's one called Washington Homeopathics. They're out of West Virginia. and they sell kits. Those are the kits that I purchase and that I resell to my clients. So Washington Homeopathics is definitely one. Another one is called the letter A, the number 2, and then the letter Z, A to Z Homeopathy. They're out in Arizona, I believe, and they also sell kits. So I mean, you can get them. They're not hard to find. You just have to look for them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're possible, and
So
it's not expensive, really, in the long
yeah,
run.
no, I didn't think so at all. Just from,
No.
my brief experience, I just went to a health food store and got arnica, and I think I've used a couple other different things, but
I'm just going to quickly grab a tube just so people
oh
can
yeah,
see it if
sure.
they're, yeah,
People can see what that looks like. That's awesome.
yeah. Let's see. All right. Well, I just grabbed the one that was closest to me. So yeah, so if you go into a health food store, you'll see the tubes look like this, just so you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yep.
This one is actually called Symphytum. This is for bone healing. Like if you broke a bone and you already had surgery and you want the bones to knit together, that you would use this. And so I just want to tell people how to open it. Some people get it like, how do you
There,
open
there
this
is a
thing?
trick to it.
And at the Barn
Try to
website,
get
there's
them
like
out.
a 50-second like intro on how to do it. But basically, you take it, you turn it upside down where the cap is empty, and you twist it, and the little pellets come out at the bottom, and you can
Right.
see little pellets that are there, and then you stick them under your tongue, and that's how you take a remedy. But anyway, that's how it works. It's cool.
Cool.
It's this is so. When you ask me what is homeopathy, I also want people to know what it's not. It is not echinacea and vitamin C. Those are great. Those are naturopathic. Those are useful, but those have the substance in it. So that's a supplement and a vitamin, and those are great, but that's not what homeopathy is. Homeopathy is highly, highly diluted.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
And so this is kind of a generic question, but what are the remedies made from? I mean, I imagine obviously there's all different kinds of things, but if there's any that you want to focus on.
Well, they're plants like arnica,
Mm-hmm.
minerals like calcarea or nature muriaticum is from salt. So it's plants, minerals, and animals for the most part. So we have a remedy made from the bushmaster snake called lachesis, and it's awesome for women who have really strong hot flashes during menopause, are typically more loquacious. They get red. They're like a snake in a way. It's almost like they kind of sneak through the grass, and then it's just like they'll pounce out on you. Like you meet women like that during menopause.
Yep.
And so it's a good remedy in general, but it's made from a bushmaster snake.
Wow.
So people might say, I don't want to take a remedy made from a snake. It's like it's so highly diluted. You don't even there's nothing in it
Right.
anymore. But it's not that there's nothing in it. Okay, that's not true.
Yep.
The energy of it is there, but the material substance isn't there.
Yeah. Interesting. So
Yep.
plants, minerals, animals.
Hmm. There are a couple of remedies that are not available to the public that I have purview of or ability to get. And they're called nosodes, and they're made from diseased tissues of the body. So kind of like like the concept of a
Like a
vaccine.
vaccine. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that, but there's no material substance. So there's a remedy called medorinum that is not something that people should get and can't get over the counter anyway. Only certified or professional homeopaths can get it, and it's made from gonorrhea. And people might go, "Oh my God, why would I do that?" It is the most powerful remedy given in the right circumstances for people that have had a lot of gonorrhea through their family. They may not even know it, but the symptoms are showing it. And a lot of times it's through an asthmatic presentation, frequent illness presentation. And so it's really important to know that homeopaths have different tools than what's over the counter as well.
Right.
And it's
Yep.
very powerful and very
We,
healing.
we need a remedy for COVID.
We have one.
Really?
Well, I shouldn't say that. There are homeopaths all around the world have been doing so many webinars, and that's where I spent a lot of my time, March, April, and May, was listening to people, all these really stellar homeopaths around the world talking about it. And it was very interesting to hear all their different points of view. And basically, the bottom line, as we still know it, is we treat what we see.
Yeah.
It's not like there's one remedy, but there is a nosode, meaning it's made from the diseased tissue of someone with COVID. And it's used more now for people that have gotten over COVID, but still are very exhausted and not
Yeah.
back to themselves yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how that is more being used. So it's not like there's one remedy, but there are
Right.
probably about 5 remedies that are key. If someone starts to get sick with COVID, don't wait. Go find out from a homeopath what to take. There's like 5 really strong remedies that can totally reverse the whole process.
Wow.
So
See, more
there,
people need to know that.
yeah, there was 400 no 400. There was a group of homeopaths through a website called homeopathyhelpsnow.com. It came together. Denise Stragus and Alistair Gray from the Academy of Homeopathic Education put this together at the time. Free help for anybody that had COVID. If you could donate, great, but it was free help. And they documented over 400 cases all around the world of people who had COVID and the remedies that were given. And none of those 400 people ended up in the hospital.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's
And none of that
incredibly powerful.
information made it on mainstream media. It's
Not
like,
yet, not yet. No, no, no. And it never will. There's no power. There's no
of
money.
course, there's no money.
And
There's no
it's
big
really
money in it.
sad.
Yeah.
But there are people like us. We're in this little underground. Like we know our stuff and we're sharing it.
Yeah. No, it's totally
So,
true.
yeah,
It's totally true. That's awesome.
yeah, I
Um,
know.
well, let's talk a little bit about how homeopathy is different from other modalities like naturopathy or.
hmm So things like naturopathy, like vitamin C, echinacea, those are good to build the immune system, to prevent colds, to prevent flus, to just kind of keep you stronger. And then like chiropractor is good for keeping your spine strong, and like acupuncture is good for keeping the energy pattern in the body working. It helps a really good pain management for some people where you don't have to take painkillers.
Mhm.
You can just, go for acupuncture. Homeopathy can help with pain as well, but homeopathy works with the whole person. When you work with someone like me, let's put it that way, it can work with an acute situation like you were talking about when you have some dental work done and it's just this one time thing and it's just that thing that you need to take care of. But let's say you tend to have a lot of teeth problems and you also get, let's say, urinary tract infections and you get colds a lot. It's like your immune system is not that strong, you don't feel well, you're tired a lot. It's like you need a boost. And so homeopathy can help give you the energy that you need to right some of those wrongs. I'll call them wrongs or symptoms, so that you can be stronger. And it's not just homeopathy, it's also about looking at the whole picture of the person. For example, you want to say, like I've had, I always do my intakes and I say, so tell me what you drink. What do you eat? What do you tend to? Do you like salty? You like sweet? You like whatever? And then what do you drink? And I had one gentleman come and he said, I just drink soda every day. I said, do you drink any water? He said, no, not really. I just drink soda. I said, how much? He said, oh, what are those, like 12 packs of soda? I said, what kind? He said, like Pepsi. And I'm like going, whoa, all that sugar. And this was a tiny man, a tiny, very thin man, but he was just, he actually came because he had violent tendencies. And so,
What a shock.
what a shock, right?
Drink a
And
12
so,
pack of soda and find out.
and like he didn't even realize that there was a problem with that. And
Yeah, I know.
one of my first, so that's the good thing about coming to a homeopath is we get to uncover some things that people just don't know. Or like, I'm really constipated and I'm not sure why. Well, it could be because you're not drinking any water and you drink more coffee and tea all day long. It's like you need to have water in the body. For every cup of coffee or every cup of tea that you have that is caffeinated, you need to have a cup of water to counteract the diuretic effect. People don't know a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So we call it maintaining causes. So we look at homeopathy as a piece of it, but we also look at it as, so what is it that also is offending the body that could be changed? Or people who are in their 60s who come to me and their back hurts, but they don't walk, they don't exercise, they don't do even yoga, tai chi, none of that. It's like, no matter what we do, you need to help yourself. And so this is what we weren't taught when we were younger. Like, go to the doctor will fix you.
Mm,
We're not taught how to fix ourselves.
right. Or
And
even
that's what
just,
you're doing. This is what you do, Diane. This is what you're trying to teach people and say, look, these are options that are open to people. You can help yourself. You
right.
don't have to wait for someone to do it for you.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's all about taking responsibility.
Yeah.
And, I think it's two things. I think it's, we, like you said, we've been conditioned into not taking responsibility for our health.
hmm
And also, I think it's a little bit of like some people just being lazy. Like, yeah, just gonna, this is what happens when you get older and I just have to deal with it, or I don't feel like exercising. It's very interesting to me that the less you exercise, the more your body hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas everyone complains about the fact that exercise hurts. It's like, you're not going to get away from that either way.
Well, it just depends. So,
But
like in my 40s, I used to do kickboxing. I kept hurting my hip, and I was going, okay, I can't do this. This is not
right,
good for me.
pick
You know,
something else.
pick something else. So I started swimming and I started doing yoga, and because those they hurt a little bit, but they didn't hurt
But a
like
good hurt,
that.
it's a good
You know,
hurt.
it's a
It's
good
like,
hurt, right?
you've moved your body. You've trained your muscles. It's not
Right,
acute pain.
right. Like the
So,
P90X, a lot of people do P90X. The people that are like, rugged,
yep,
really, gung ho. And that if that's your personality, great. I know so many people that in a short period of time of doing that have hurt themselves in a really serious way.
right.
Be it, their shoulders or their back or something, some muscle gets pulled. I'm like, and it's permanent or it's debilitating for like 6 months. And you're like, that's not good. No,
Yeah,
that means it's God telling you, do something else.
right. You don't have to keep doing the same exercise your entire life.
No,
We weren't meant
no,
to.
no, totally not.
That's funny. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between using homeopathy between like an acute or a chronic situation.
So I've alluded to it a little before. So homeopathy, when it's used for an acute situation like a toothache, or you fell off a bike and you're really bruised, or you have a stomach bug, or you got bitten by a bee, stung by a bee, or you got bitten by a tick, or something like that. Those are what we call acutes, meaning they're things that come up very quickly that are very uncomfortable. And so, in acute situation, all you need is a 30C or below of a potency. And that's something you can get over the counter. That's what you can buy in a homeopathic kit. And so, those are the things that you take. So, here's a quick story. My son, we were in Mexico, we were on a vacation. And the night before we left, my son started to get the 2 exits, no waiting kind of thing. And we're like, we have to get on a flight like the next morning. And we're like, there is no way this kid is leaving this room. Absolutely not. And so I had my kit with me. I was still a homeopathic student, and I was thinking, okay, what remedy do I give him? Maybe I thought it was he ate too much. We were in an all-inclusive place. He just ate too much, so I gave him a remedy for overeating. Didn't work, and I was like, okay, what could this be? And I said, oh, maybe it's food poisoning. Gave him that remedy. That didn't work. So that was like another hour has gone by, and he's still not doing well. And then I watched him, and I said, you know what? Every time he drinks something, the minute it warms up in his stomach, he would get sick again. And I'm like, that's the remedy I need. It's called phosphorus. I gave him a dose of phosphorus and it stopped. He was exhausted. Granted, he was exhausted, but he could leave the room, he could leave the bathroom, and everything just stopped. And so when that happens, that's when you go, wow. You
Yeah.
go, it's not like you got it on the first try. You don't always get it on the first
Right,
try. I
right,
don't always
right.
get it,
It,
but you
and
can take it and it's not adverse.
and you knew that, but I'm thinking to myself, how did she figure out that it had something to do with the temperature of the liquid, and what that's not something that would normally cause someone to throw up or have diarrhea anyway. So there had to be something else going on.
So you observe. So when you become more homeopathically minded, you learn to be an acute observer. And when I teach in my study group, we do this thing called clams, where basically anytime someone has an illness, you look for what are the concomitants, things that are happening at the same time, like vomiting and diarrhea. I hate to be gross, sorry people.
No,
Um,
it's
uh, L is
explanatory. So
location. Where's the location? Is it left side, right side? Is it on your head? Is it on your feet? Where is it exactly? And then it is what are the I think it's affinities, or I forgot what A was. Oh my God. And so you want to find out exactly what it feels like, and that's sensation. That's S. M is modality. I did this last time in my study group. I'm not too good on the middle one. But the idea is that you find out exactly where is it, what does it feel like, what makes it better, what makes it worse. Oh, etiology. That's what the A is. Etiology. How did it come on? From overeating, from stress, from watching the news, from the death of a loved one, what started it? Because a lot of times an acute comes on because of something that happened.
right, and it's not necessarily, well, I think what you're referring to is more of like a energetic causing a physical
Mhm.
symptom. It's not like he had food poisoning or even like stomach flu or something like that. It
Mhm.
could have been just from stress or
I think
nerves.
in my son's case, I think he probably ate something bad, but it wasn't food poisoning per se. I don't know why the food poisoning remedy didn't work, but the phosphorus remedy made so much more sense at the time
Right.
to give him that through observation. So just a quick recap. So clams is concomitants, location, etiology, AE,
Mhm.
etiology, um, CLAM is modalities, and S is sensation. And so when you have all of those pieces, then you can then match it to a homeopathic remedy based on any book that you might be
I
able
was
to
just
get.
going to say, or if
So
somebody has that kit that you were referring to, there's like a companion guide to.
sometimes there is, and sometimes there isn't. I do have some books that I recommend, and I can send people information about that of any books that they want. And also, the National Center for Homeopathy created, with my guidance, I was the master editor on it, um, a book called Homeopathy 101, How to Use a Homeopathic Kit at Home. And that's the book that we're using now in our study groups. And it's a really great reference guide. So I do recommend that you can go online. Mary Aspinwall has a Facebook group, and it's a lot of moms, and they do a lot of clams evaluations, and they do that.
Oh, cool.
Another person is Joette Calabrese. She has another huge following, and these are online, again, Facebook folks. So I'm just my own little practitioner, my own little space. I certainly love to increase what I'm doing, but nowhere near. They've got thousands and thousands of followers,
Wow.
and I love that they do it because it's spreading the word about homeopathy.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's say someone comes to you. What's involved with working with a homeopath?
Mhm. Great question. Thank you for asking. So it's different than what you would expect. The first is I always talk to people for 15 minutes, no charge, just to find out what's going on and is it something I can handle and what questions do they have of me. And then once we decide if it is a match and we're going to work together, I sent some paperwork and we spent 2 hours, sometimes longer. I spent 2.5 the other day with somebody to really just kind of tease out a lot about the person's life, about what the symptoms are. Let's say they're coming to me for migraines. That's the main reason. But then there's other things. There may be arthritis, there may be some constipation, there may be ear infections, whatever it is. And we take all those pieces and then I spend about a week or so to put them together and to really think about what would be the best first remedy to give to that person. And then I send the remedy or they go get it. And then we start the process of seeing what does their body do with that remedy. And then we meet officially 5 or 6 weeks later to evaluate that. And I am available in between just through text and email and phone if needed. If people are unsure about what's going on, and then we just kind of take it from there. So I'm kind of like your like a partner. I'm like your partner in healing as best I can. So that's kind of how it works with me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mhm.
And there might be a little bit of trial and error, like you described with your son, as far as figuring out what the best remedy is and what's going to work.
Yeah.
And I, if I might be confusing this with flower essences, but can you use it with animals?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Oh my, yes. You can use it with plants. There's something called agrohomeopathy. You can use it with animals. There are holistic vets, but you can also give a 30C to a pet
Yep.
for any reason, that you might see. I actually had a dog, a beagle, about 8, 9 years ago that went lame, and we were trying to figure out what happened. And they were, we took it to the vet. He was in a lot of pain. They wanted to do surgery on his back legs, and we're like, I'm like, why is this happening? This is just. And
Right.
so
Out of
the
the blue.
right out of kind of out of the blue, but the etiology, we figured it out, was my husband and I went away. We had a cousin with a dog and came and stayed at our house. So there were now two dogs in the house, and the other dog was an alpha dog. And my dog didn't like it. And so she jumped off the couch one day and just went lame. And it's because she was just like, all right, I'm done. I'm out. I can't deal with this dog. And so it took about a week or so, but I treated the dog homeopathically, and the dog got better, brought the dog back to the vet, didn't need prednisone, didn't need anything. And the dog was fine. And the vet was like, what did you do?
Yeah.
What did you give him? I was like,
Take my class. I'll tell
yeah,
you.
I was like, it was a homeopathic remedy. What was it? And I'm like, I told him what it was, and I knew that it wouldn't matter.
Right.
And what bothers me the most is like with your dentist, as it is with this vet, is like, oh, they're just amazing. So, oh, well, that could have just happened anyway, or it just,
Sure.
and they
We're
don't take it to heart.
because we're miraculous people.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It was like, and I was really thinking, oh, cool, this guy's going to get into homeopathy. Like, he could care less. He thought I was doing something evil, but I saved the dog from surgery, for God's sake.
Not only from a financial perspective, but just all of the trauma to the animal.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
why not try? So
Why not try?
this has always been my thing about natural medicine is it's so backwards to me that people do all of the invasive stuff first, the surgeries, the drugs, the whatever, put their body through God knows what, then they turn to natural medicine. It's like, shouldn't it be the other way around where you
Oh
try
my God, Diane,
with
I love you. I love you. I wish
the,
that was true.
the least amount of trauma as possible on yourself or your pet or whatever, and then uh, like the 0.0001% chance it didn't work because
And
you
then
have something.
then
Yeah,
we're supposed to save the world at that point. And that's what
right,
we're used to. I hate to say it, homeopaths are used to that. But I do have a dream, like you're saying, I have a dream that someday people are going to think about homeopathy or natural medicine first
right,
before they go. It's always there. That toolbox will always be there. But do
right.
you need that toolbox first?
Yep,
If you
yep,
need surgery or testing, yeah, but pharmaceuticals, probably not as much as you might think.
right.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Definitely,
I'm so with you.
definitely not for
Yeah.
sure.
Hmm.
Awesome. Well,
And
this
then
has
they say,
been.
well, that doesn't work. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Yep, yep, yep.
Don't get
But
me gone. Don't get me gone.
exactly. Well, awesome. This
Yeah.
has been great. Tons of awesome information.
Yeah.
Um, how do you want people to be able to get a hold of you?
Thanks for asking, Diane. I would love for people to check out my website. It's Homeopathy Healings, HomeopathyHealings. Have information like what is homeopathy. I currently have a webinar that I had recorded, and it's called What Everyone Wants to Know About Homeopathy, and it's free. You just have to give us your email. So there's stuff on there. There's information about my study group. And I also do these things called Tea with a Homeopath, and I think I'm going to do more of them virtually now, where it's basically let's just talk about homeopathy, and they're just and I help. And so I'll be doing more of those, and those will be more scheduled too. So I haven't scheduled them yet, but I will be. So
Okay.
homeopathyhealings.com, and there's a contact form on there too.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you got that. I can't tell if the internet was stable or
Yeah,
not.
it's glitching up a little bit on
Yeah.
us, but I just heard it clearly. But I'll say it again, homeopathyhealings.com. And also you can go to our website, naturalnutmeg.com for this
Thanks.
for this recording. And we'll also send it out over email and social media too. Awesome. Thank you so much
Thank you. Really
again
appreciate it.
for
Thank
everything.
you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And hope everybody enjoyed this and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. You too.